The widow found an abandoned ship and discovered a secret that changed her life. Jennifer Miller held the eviction notice with trembling hands while her 6 small children slept on the only mattress left in the empty house. In 3 hours, the court officer would return to remove them permanently from the only home the children had ever known. That's when she decided to walk along the deserted beach at dawn, carrying the 2-year-old twins in her arms while the other 4 followed silently behind her. Her bare foot stumbled on something hard buried in the fine sand. Looking down, she saw a piece of rusty metal that stretched for meters. It was part of a cruise ship that had been stranded 8 months earlier, when a storm brought it to this isolated Santa Monica beach on the California coast. "Mum, can we go in?" asked 7-year-old Ethan, pointing to an opening in the side of the vessel. "No, son." "It's dangerous," replied Jennifer, but her eyes scanned every detail of the ship. Perhaps there was something inside she could sell, anything that would buy her time to think of a solution. 5-year-old Olivia had already climbed through the wreckage like a little adventurer. "Olivia, get down from there right now," shouted Jennifer, running after her daughter. When she finally reached the child, Jennifer found herself inside what had once been a luxurious first-class cabin. The place was turned upside down, but there were still objects scattered across the floor. Her eyes quickly scanned the room for something valuable when something made her stop. There, on a wet and cracked table, was a document folder protected by plastic. The name on the label made her stagger. Naval Renewal Project. Robert Miller. Robert. Her husband. The man who had left a year earlier in a construction work accident, leaving her alone with 6 children and a mountain of debt. "Mum, what's wrong?" asked 9-year-old Matthew, noticing the paleness on his mother's face. "Nothing, son." "Let's get out of here," said Jennifer, hiding the folder under the black dress she'd been wearing since the funeral. But it was too late. Curiosity had awakened something inside her that she could no longer ignore. Why was her husband's name on documents inside that ship? Robert had never worked with vessels. He was a bricklayer building simple homes for simple families like theirs. Back home, Jennifer locked herself in the bathroom while the children played in the yard. She opened the folder with nervous fingers. Inside were contracts, blueprints, budgets, and a letter with Robert's unmistakable handwriting. "My love, if you're reading this, it means something has happened to me. The ship you found isn't just a ship. It's our children's future. I invested every penny I could secretly save in this project. It was meant to be a surprise." Jennifer felt her legs weaken. She sat on the cold bathroom floor and kept reading. "My partner Richard and I bought this ship to transform it into a floating community center. It would be a school, a health clinic, a meeting place for our community. I wanted our children to grow up knowing we can make a difference in the world." Tears blurred some words, but Jennifer continued, "If anything happens to me, look for Richard Thompson. He has all the legal documents. Half of the ship is ours, Jennifer. It's the inheritance I leave for you and the children." Jennifer heard knocking at the door. "Mom, there's a man here," shouted Ethan from outside. She quickly hid the documents and went out. At the front door stood a man in a suit, sweating under the strong morning sun. "Are you Jennifer Miller?" he asked, removing his hat. "I am. What do you want?" "My name is Richard Thompson. I worked with your husband." Jennifer's heart raced. It was him, the partner mentioned in the letter. "May I come in? I have something important to discuss with you." Jennifer hesitated. The children hid behind her, watching the stranger with curiosity. "You can speak right here," she said, crossing her arms. Richard looked around, noticing the furniture stacked in the yard and the boxes ready for moving. "I heard you're having difficulties. Robert told me about the debts before what? Before the accident. Look, I came here because I know you might be looking for things to sell. If you find any documents or papers with Robert's name, don't sell them to anyone. Bring them to me first. I'll pay well. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing." The way Richard spoke made Jennifer uncomfortable. Why was he so interested in documents, and why did he seem nervous? "What kind of documents?" she asked, pretending not to know anything. "Oh, work stuff. Contracts, blueprints, things like that. Robert sometimes brought work home. I've never seen anything like that here. Are you sure it wouldn't hurt to take a quick look? I'm sure, Jennifer said firmly. And now I need to finish packing. We're being evicted today. Evicted? Richard seemed genuinely surprised. Robert didn't leave anything for you. If he did, I don't know where it is. Richard took a wallet from his pocket and counted out some bills. Take this, to help with the children, and if you remember anything, come find me. He handed her a card and quickly walked away. Jennifer stared at the money in her hands. It was more than she earned in 2 months of cleaning. Why would a stranger give so much money, just like that? That afternoon, the bailiff arrived promptly. Jennifer gathered the children and their few belongings into 2 old bags. She had nowhere to go. "Mom, where will we sleep tonight?" asked 6-year-old Emma, holding her doll missing an arm. "We'll figure it out, my dear." They walked through the streets of Santa Monica without direction. Jennifer thought about the documents hidden in her bag and Richard's words. Something didn't add up. At dusk, they found shelter in an abandoned church in the city center. The priest, Father Patrick, a man of about 60 with graying hair and kind eyes, allowed them to stay in the parish hall. "It's just for tonight," Jennifer said, embarrassed. "Stay as long as you need, my child. I see you're going through hard times." While the children slept on cardboard, Jennifer talked with Father Patrick about her situation. She didn't mention the documents, but told him about her husband and the debts. "Your husband wasn't just a construction worker," said the priest, surprising Jennifer. "Robert used to come here sometimes. He talked about social projects, about helping the fishing community. He said he had a big dream." "What kind of dream?" "He wanted to create a place where poor families could gather, where children could study and play. He talked about a project at sea." Jennifer felt a lump in her throat. Everything was starting to make sense. The next morning she left the children with Father Patrick and returned to the ship. This time she explored every corner of the vessel. In the captain's cabin she found more documents. Detailed blueprints showed how the ship would be transformed. Classrooms, library, infirmary, community kitchen, recreation area. There was also a logbook. The last entries were by Robert himself. March 15th. Richard is nervous about the costs. Says it's too much money to spend on poor people. Doesn't understand it's not spending, it's investing in the future. March 20th. Had a bad argument with Richard. He wants to abandon the social project and sell the ship to a tourism company. The profit would be higher. March 25th. Richard is acting strange. I found some documents with scribbles. I think he's trying to cheat me. March 30th. I discovered that Richard forged my signature on some contracts. He's trying to take my share of the ship. I'll confront him tomorrow. The last note was from the day before Robert's accident. Jennifer felt her blood run cold. Could it be a coincidence? Robert had discovered he was being deceived, and the next day the accident that killed him happened. A noise made her quickly hide. Male voices were approaching the ship. "Are you sure she found something?" It was Richard's voice. "Yes. I saw her coming out of the ship early yesterday with a folder under her dress," replied another voice Jennifer didn't recognize. "Damn. If she has the original documents, she can prove I altered the contracts." "What are you going to do?" "I'll have to offer more money. She's desperate. She'll accept anything." Jennifer slipped out silently through the other end of the ship and ran back to the church. Her heart was beating so hard she was sure everyone on the street could hear it. Father Patrick noticed her distress immediately. "What happened, my child?" Jennifer told him everything. She showed the documents, read the diary entries, explained about Richard's visit. "My God," whispered the priest. "You need to seek help. This is very serious." "But who will believe me? Richard has money, he has influence. I'm just a poor widow with 6 children." "You're right. We need to be smart." Father Patrick thought for a few minutes. "I know someone who can help. Ms. Helen Davis, a retired lawyer. She works on social injustice cases. Lives here in Santa Monica." That afternoon, Jennifer met Ms. Helen, a white-haired lady with penetrating eyes who must have been about 70. Her simple house was filled with law books and old case files. "Show me everything," said the lawyer, adjusting her glasses. Helen examined each document carefully. She took notes, compared signatures, analyzed the project blueprints. My dear, you have something very valuable here. These documents prove your husband was the legitimate owner of 50% of that ship. And more importantly, they show that Richard forged documents. But what if he says I falsified everything? The documents are dated, have notary records, have other witness signatures. It's very difficult to fake all that. Besides, we have one element he doesn't know exists. What? The logbook. Your husband's handwritten notes can be examined by experts. It's undeniable proof. Jennifer felt a glimmer of hope for the first time in months. What do I do now? First, we need to ensure your safety and the children's. Richard can't know you discovered the fraud. Second, we'll make copies of everything and store them in safe places. Third, we need more evidence. What kind of evidence? Witnesses, other people who knew about your husband's project, and mainly, we need to find out if there are other official documents that prove the partnership. Helen picked up the phone. I'll call an acquaintance at the records office. Let's see if the partnership between Robert and Richard was properly registered. While Helen made the calls, Jennifer played with the children in the lawyer's backyard. Matthew, the oldest, noticed his mother's anxiety. Mum, Dad left something for us, didn't he? Jennifer looked at her 9-year-old son, who looked so much like Robert. Yes, my son. He left us a chance for a better life. And will we get it? We'll fight for it. Helen returned with news. Good and bad news. The good news is the partnership really exists and is registered at the records office. Robert Miller and Richard Thompson, equal partners in the company Maritime Renewal LLC. The bad news is that Richard tried to alter the registration last week, claiming that Robert had sold his share before passing away. Can he do that? Not without proof of sale. And from what I see here, there's no sales document signed by Robert. Richard only presented a typed paper without notarization. So he's lying. Clearly. But he has expensive lawyers and influence in town. We need to be very careful. That night at the church, Jennifer gathered the children around her. Kids, I need to tell you something. Daddy left something important for us. A ship. The children's eyes widened. A real ship? Asked Olivia, excited. A real one. But there's a bad man who wants to take Daddy's ship away, and Mommy is going to fight to not let that happen. We'll help, said Ethan, punching his tiny fist in the air. Of course you'll help. But for now, this is our secret, okay? You can't tell anyone. The next day, Richard showed up at the church. Miss Jennifer, I heard you were here. What a difficult situation. We're fine, thank you. Look, I was thinking, how about if I help you move to another city? I have contacts, I can get you a job, a little house. Why would you do that? Robert was my friend. I feel responsible for you. Father Patrick, who was watching the conversation from afar, approached. Such generosity, isn't it? Said the priest with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Father Patrick, have you known Miss Jennifer for a long time? I have. And I knew Robert well, too. A man of grand projects, wasn't he? Richard looked visibly uncomfortable. Yes, Robert had many ideas. He used to come here to talk about the ship project. What a beautiful dream, don't you think? Turning that vessel into something useful for the community. The color drained from Richard's face. Ship? What ship? Why, the ship you bought together. Robert talked about it all the time. Oh, yes, of course. Well, I need to get going. Miss Jennifer, think about my offer. As soon as Richard left, Father Patrick turned to Jennifer. This man is desperate. Be very careful. That afternoon, Helen brought some shocking news. I managed to contact Robert's former accountant. Your husband had deposited a significant amount into a savings account in the children's names. Richard withdrew all the money the week after the accident, claiming to be the new legal representative of the company. Can he do that? No, it's blatant theft, but we need to prove he had no authorization. How? The bank will provide us with the security recordings. If he forged documents there too, we'll catch him. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. 3 days later, Helen returned with a sealed envelope. We've got him. Inside were copies of the bank's security recordings and the documents presented by Richard. Robert's signature was clearly forged, with obvious differences from the real signature. Now we have proof of forgery and embezzlement. Let's go to court. What if he tries to get revenge? What if... Jennifer, your family deserves justice, and that ship can really change the lives of many people in this town. That night, Jennifer visited the ship once again. This time, she brought the children. They ran through the hallways, imagining what it would be like to have a place like this to play and study. "Mom, the ship is so big," said Emma, impressed. "Yes, it is, my dear. And God willing, it will be ours." Really ours. Ours and all the town's children who need a safe place to grow up. Matthew found an old guitar abandoned in one of the cabins. "Can I keep it?" "Yes, you can. Your father would have loved to see you playing." While the children explored, Jennifer went up to the upper deck and looked at the sea. The sunset painted the sky orange and pink. She could feel Robert's presence there. "It's going to work out, my love," she whispered to the wind. "I promise I won't let your dreams die." The following Monday, Helen filed a lawsuit against Richard. The news spread quickly through the small town of Santa Monica. Some people supported Jennifer, others doubted her intentions. "A poor widow trying to steal from a respected businessman," they commented on the streets. But Father Patrick gave a sermon the following Sunday that silenced many mouths. "Justice knows no social class," he said from the pulpit. "And when a man leaves an inheritance for his children, no one has the right to steal it." Richard didn't stand still. He hired the best law firm in the region and started a campaign to discredit Jennifer. He spread rumors that she was unstable, that she wasn't fit to care for the children, that she was making up stories for money. The situation worsened when the Child Protection Court received an anonymous complaint about the children's living conditions. A social worker appeared at the church to assess the situation. "Ms. Miller, we received a complaint that the children are living in inadequate conditions." Jennifer felt her world collapse. It was obvious who had made the complaint. "The children are well cared for. We sleep at the church because we have nowhere to stay, but they eat properly, go to school, and are loved." The social worker, a young woman with understanding eyes named Brittany, looked around. The children were clean, well-dressed, and clearly loved. "I see you really do take good care of the children, but I'll have to file a report about the housing conditions. Please don't take my children away from me. They're all I have. I'll give you 2 months to regularize your situation. You need a house, a steady job, and stability." When Brittany left, Jennifer broke down in tears. Father Patrick comforted her. "Don't give up now, my child. We're very close to the truth. 2 months. How am I going to get a house and a job in 2 months when I'm spending everything I have on a lawyer? We'll figure it out." Helen appeared in the late afternoon with a proposal. "Jennifer, the judge has scheduled a mediation hearing for next week. It's our chance to resolve this without a long trial." "What does that mean?" "It means that you and Richard will sit at a table with the judge and try to reach an agreement." "What kind of agreement?" "We'll propose that he acknowledges your share in the ship in exchange for us not suing him for forgery and theft. And if he doesn't accept, then we go to a full trial. It could take years." "I don't have years. I have 2 months. Then let's hope he accepts." The following week passed slowly. Jennifer could barely sleep, thinking about the hearing. The children noticed her anxiety. "Mom, is the bad man going to take Daddy's ship?" Olivia asked one night. "No, my daughter. Mommy won't let him." "What if he does? Then we'll fight a little more." On the day of the hearing, Jennifer wore her best clothes, a navy blue dress she had received from Father Patrick. Helen accompanied her to the courthouse. "Remember, be firm but not aggressive. Let the documents speak for you." Richard was there with 2 expensive lawyers. He didn't even look in Jennifer's direction. The judge, Judge Robert Wilson, a middle-aged man with a serious demeanor, opened the hearing. We are here to attempt mediation between the parties. Ms. Miller, please explain your version of the facts." Jennifer told the whole story. The found ship, the documents, the logbook, the forged signatures. Helen presented all the evidence. When it was Richard's turn, he denied everything. "Your Honor, this woman is making up this entire story for money. Robert sold me his share of the business before he passed away. I have documents that prove this." "Present the documents." Ronaldo's lawyer handed a folder to the judge. Judge Wilson examined it for several minutes. "This signature looks very different from the others in the case file. I'll need a handwriting analysis." "Your Honor," Helen intervened, "we have here the logbook handwritten by Mr. Robert, where he reports the defendant's attempts at fraud." The judge read a few pages of the logbook. His expression grew increasingly serious. "Mr. Thompson, these notes are very serious. Your partner accuses you of forging documents. They're just misunderstandings, Your Honor." "Misunderstandings? It's clearly written here that you forged his signature on contracts." Ronaldo began to sweat. "Your Honor, I can explain." "There's no explanation for document forgery, Mr. Thompson. I'm suspending this hearing and ordering a police investigation into these allegations." "No." Ronaldo stood up, desperate. "There's no need for an investigation. I acknowledge that Mrs. Miller is entitled to her husband's share." Silence filled the room. "Are you confessing to forging documents?" Ronaldo looked at his lawyers, who shook their heads negatively. But he was cornered. I altered some documents, yes, but it wasn't with bad intentions. I thought it would be better for the widow to receive money rather than keep a ship she wouldn't know how to manage. And who gave you the authority to make that decision?" "No one. Mr. Thompson, you've admitted to document forgery and embezzlement. I'll approve a settlement where Mrs. Miller fully regains her rights to the ship and you return all the money stolen from the bank account." "But, Your Honor." "No buts. You can either accept this settlement or face criminal charges for fraud." Ronaldo looked around the room. He knew he was defeated. "I accept the settlement." Jennifer couldn't believe it. She was trembling so much that Helen had to hold her. "We did it," whispered the lawyer. "You did it." 2 weeks later, Jennifer had the stolen money back and legal ownership of 50% of the ship. Ronaldo had sold his share to her for a symbolic amount, desperate to avoid prison. With the recovered money, she rented a simple house near the beach and enrolled all the children in the local school. But what to do with the ship remained a mystery. It was Father Patrick who brought up the idea. How about turning the ship into exactly what Robert dreamed of, a community center? "But I don't know how to manage something like that." "You don't have to do it alone. Let's form a cooperative. Each family in the community contributes a little and everyone benefits." The idea began to take shape. Jennifer met with fishermen, merchants, retired teachers, and other residents of Santa Monica. The enthusiasm was contagious. "My granddaughter could have tutoring classes there," said Miss Catherine, a 70-year-old woman who sold fish at the market. "And I could teach carpentry classes to the youth," offered Mr. Jack, a retired carpenter. "We could make a garden on the upper deck," suggested teacher Mary, recently retired from the public school. Within 3 months, the project was structured. Each family would contribute $50 per month and a few days of volunteer work. In return, they would have access to a library, tutoring classes, craft workshops, basic medical consultations, and a recreation area. The inauguration day was emotional. Over 200 people attended. The ship had been painted white and blue, with flower gardens on the deck and classrooms organized in the former cabins. "This center bears the name of Robert Miller," Jennifer announced to the crowd. "A man who believed that together we can build a better future." The children were the first to explore every corner of the school ship. Matthew played his guitar on what became the theater stage. Olivia helped plant flowers in the hanging garden. Ethan and Emma played in the new children's library. "Mom, would Dad be proud?" Matthew asked that night. "Very proud, my son, very proud." 6 months later, the Robert Miller Community Center was already serving over 500 people. Children who previously had nowhere to do homework now had a library. Elderly people who lived alone had a place to talk and play dominoes. Young people learned trades in the woodworking, sewing, and computer workshops. Brittany, the social worker, returned for a new evaluation. Ms. Miller, the transformation is impressive. The children are happy, well cared for, and part of a beautiful project. Thank you. It was their father's dream that made all this possible. And what happened to Richard Thompson? He moved to New York. I heard he's selling insurance. Poetic justice. 1 year after the discovery of the ship, Jennifer was on the upper deck watching the sunset when Matthew approached. "Mum, I found this in Dad's cabin." It was an old photo of Robert holding baby Matthew, with the sea in the background. "He always said the sea was our future," Jennifer recalled. "And he was right, wasn't he?" Jennifer looked around. The ship was full of life. Children played, adults chatted, elderly people taught crafts. It was exactly as Robert had dreamed. "Yes, my son. He was right." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. 2 years had passed since that morning when Jennifer stumbled upon the shipwreck. The Robert Miller Community Center had become a reference in the region. Delegations from other cities came to learn about the project, but not everything was perfect. The center's popularity also brought unexpected problems. One morning, Jennifer received a visit from a man in an expensive suit who introduced himself as an advisor from the mayor's office. "Ms. Miller, the mayor would like to speak with you about the future of the center." "What future? The center is working perfectly." "That's exactly it. The mayor has a proposal to expand the project." At the mayor's office, Jennifer met Samuel Morgan, mayor of Santa Monica for 8 years, a short man with a grey mustache and a very broad smile. "Ms. Miller, you've become a celebrity here in our city." "Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I came to propose a partnership. The city wants to invest in your project. Expand, modernize, turn it into a tourist hub." "Tourist hub? Just imagine, Robert Miller Community Center, Santa Monica tourist attraction. We'll bring visitors, generate income, put our city on the map." Jennifer felt a chill in her stomach. That didn't sound like Robert's dream. "Mr. Mayor, the center was created to serve our community, not tourists." "But it can do both. Serve the community during the week and welcome tourists on weekends. Everyone wins." "And how would that work?" "The city takes over management, hires specialized staff, sets up tourist routes. And what do I get?" "You would be the educational coordinator. Fixed salary, employment contract, benefits." The proposal sounded tempting, but something bothered Jennifer. "I need to think." "Of course, but don't take too long. We have deadlines to meet to release the federal funds." At home, Jennifer talked with Helen, who was now a close friend of the family. "Be wary of politicians offering partnerships," said the retired lawyer. "They usually want to take the good part and leave the problems to you. But what if it's a real opportunity to grow? What if it's a trap to take your project?" Jennifer decided to consult the community. She organized a meeting right on the ship to discuss the proposal. "Folks, you know this center was born from the dream of a simple man who wanted to help his community," she said to the approximately 100 people present. "Now we have a proposal to turn it into a tourist attraction. I want to hear your opinions." The opinions were divided. "It could bring money for all of us," said Mr. Mark, owner of a small inn. "Or it could drive our children away from here," countered Miss Catherine. "Tourists want a pretty place. They don't want to see poverty." "Miss Catherine is right," agreed Teacher Mary. "I've seen this happen in other towns. The social project becomes a spectacle." Father Patrick, who was present, asked to speak. "My brothers and sisters, we need to remember why this center exists. It's not to make a profit. It's to give hope." The discussion went on for hours. In the end, Jennifer realized the community was divided. She needed more information before deciding. The following week, she and Helen went to City Hall to learn the details of the proposal. The mayor's legal advisor presented a 40-page contract. "That's a lot to review," said Jennifer. "It's just legal formalities," assured the advisor. "The important thing is that you'll retain the rights to the project." Helen took a copy of the contract to review at home. The next evening, she brought bad news. "Jennifer, this contract is a trap. In the fine print, they get total control of the ship. You become just an employee. What do you mean? Here in paragraph 23 subitum c, the contracting party temporarily cedes administration of the property to City Hall for a renewable period of 10 years. In practice, they take your ship. And paragraph 31. Any decision regarding the centre's operation must be approved by the tourism department. In other words, you no longer decide anything. Jennifer felt anger rising in her chest. They're trying to steal Robert's project. Exactly, and in a legal way, using your financial need against you. What should I do? Say no, and get ready for war, because they won't take a refusal easily. Jennifer scheduled another meeting with the mayor to give her response. Mr. Mayor, thank you for the proposal, but we'll continue running the centre our way. The smile vanished from Samuel Morgan's face. Miss Jennifer, you're making a mistake. Without City Hall's support, you won't be able to keep the project running. Yes, we will. The community supports us. The community doesn't have money, and I haven't even mentioned the problems you might face. What problems? Oh, there are so many safety issues, environmental permits, operating licenses. A ship is a complex structure, Ms. Jennifer. The threat was clear. Jennifer left City Hall knowing the fight was just beginning. It didn't take long for the problems to start. The following week, a health inspector showed up at the centre, claiming to have received a complaint about the hygiene conditions of the community kitchen. But everything is clean, protested Jennifer, showing the impeccable kitchen. The problem isn't cleanliness, it's documentation. Do you have a permit for operating a commercial kitchen? It's not a commercial kitchen, it's a community one. Either way, you need a specific permit. Where do we get that? At the health department. It could take a few months. The next week it was the environmental inspector's turn, claiming the ship was polluting the sea with sewage. But we have a treatment system, said Jennifer, showing the installed equipment. You need a technical report proving its efficiency. Where do we get that? From an accredited company. It costs about $15,000. $15,000? That's the price of legality, ma'am. Then came the building inspector, claiming the modifications to the ship didn't have an approved plan. Then the labor inspector, questioning the contracts of the volunteer teachers. They're trying to break us, said Helen. It's political persecution. What can we do? Two options. Give up or fight. Robert wouldn't give up. Then let's go to war. Helen knew journalists in Chicago and managed to get a TV crew to come do a story about the center. The piece aired on the regional news, showing the social project and denouncing the City Hall's persecution. The impact was immediate. People from all over the region started sending donations to help the center. Volunteer lawyers offered to help with the documentation. An engineering company did the environmental report for free. The mayor tried to respond on television, claiming he was just following the law. We have nothing against the project, we just want it to operate within the law, he said, with the same forced smile. But the damage was done. Public opinion was on Jennifer's side. In the next municipal elections, Samuel Morgan lost to Catherine Martinez, a young teacher who promised to support social projects in the city. Ms. Jennifer, said the new mayor in the first meeting, I want you to know that this administration will support the Robert Miller Community Center in every way possible. Thank you, Mayor. We just want to continue serving our community. And you will continue. In fact, I have a proposal for you. Jennifer grew tense. Another political proposal? What kind of proposal? We want to create a municipal law that recognizes the center as a social heritage of Santa Monica. This guarantees legal protection and access to specific federal funds for social projects. And we continue managing it? Of course, you are the owners of the project. The City Hall only offers institutional support. This time, the proposal was genuine. The center gained official status, access to public resources, and protection against future political persecution. 3 years after the victory against the former mayor, the Robert Miller Community Center was serving over 1,000 people per month. There was a waiting list for the most sought-after activities. Matthew, now 15, had formed a band with other young people from the center. Olivia, 11, was teaching painting classes to younger children. Emma, 10, helped in the library. Ethan, 9, was the best student in the computer workshop. "Mom," Matthew said one afternoon, "can I ask you a question?" "Of course, son." "Do you think Dad imagined the ship would turn out like this when he wrote that letter?" Jennifer looked around. The deck was full of children playing. In the library, adults were studying for exams. In the sewing workshop, women chatted while working. In the garden, elderly people taught gardening to the youth. "I think he dreamed of something exactly like this, my son." "And you? Are you happy?" "Very happy. Our father left a much greater legacy than money. He left a purpose." That night, Jennifer went up to the upper deck for her nightly ritual, watching the sunset and talking to Robert. "We did it, my love," she said to the sea. "The dream became reality." The wind brought the scent of salt and flowers from the garden. In the distance, she could hear the sound of Matthew's guitar mixed with the children's laughter. 5 years after stumbling upon that abandoned ship, Jennifer Miller had become a reference in social development in the region. Universities sent students to learn about the project. Other communities sought her help to create similar centers. But what made her most proud wasn't the awards or recognition. It was seeing her children growing up with solid values, helping other children, understanding they had social responsibility. "Mom," Olivia said one Saturday afternoon, "when I grow up, I want to have a project like Dad's." "What kind of project?" "I want to help children who don't have homes, like we didn't have. It's a beautiful dream, my daughter. Will you help me?" "Always, my love, always." Father Patrick, now 70 years old, remained an important advisor to Jennifer. In a conversation in the church garden, he made an observation that stayed with her. "Do you know what impresses me most about your project, Jennifer?" "What, Father?" "You turned your pain into hope for others. Robert left the plans, but you built the dream. I didn't do it alone." "Of course not. But you were the spark that lit the fire. Without your courage, those documents would have turned to dust. Sometimes I wonder if I would have made it without all of you. You, Helen, the community. And we only existed because you believed it was worth fighting for. That's how good things happen, my daughter. One brave person inspires others." One Monday morning, 6 years after the discovery of the ship, Jennifer received an unexpected call. "Hello, Ms. Jennifer. This is Brittany from the juvenile court. Remember me?" "Of course. How are you?" "Well, thank you. I'm calling because I have a different proposal for you." "What kind of proposal?" "The court wants to create a program to monitor families in vulnerable situations. They're looking for someone to coordinate. We thought of you." "Me, but I don't have the training for that." You have something better, experience. You went through everything these families are going through, and you built something incredible from nothing." Jennifer thought about the proposal. It would be a chance to help more people, using her own story as a tool for transformation. "Can I continue with the center?" "Of course, it would be part-time, 3 days a week at the court, helping families find paths like you did." "I accept." 6 months later, Jennifer had helped 17 families overcome crises similar to hers. Single mothers found jobs. Unemployed fathers discovered new professions. At-risk children gained stability. "Ms. Jennifer," said one of the assisted mothers, "you saved my family." "I didn't save anyone. You saved yourselves. I just showed you it was possible." "How did you know it would work?" "I didn't know. But I had faith it was worth trying." One October afternoon, 10 years after stumbling upon the ship, Jennifer organized a special party. It was Robert's birthday, and she decided to turn the date into a celebration of life and dreams fulfilled. Over 500 people attended. Children who had grown up in the center returned as educated adults to give thanks. Elderly people who found a new family in the community shared their stories. Young people who learned trades in the workshops displayed their work. Matthew, now 19, and studying music at university, gave an emotional speech. "My father planted a seed. My mother watered it with tears, sweat, and love, and all of you helped cultivate it. This center isn't just a place. It's proof that dreams don't die with people. They live in those who believe in them." Olivia, 15, had become a young leader at the center, organizing activities for underprivileged children. Emma, 14, gave tutoring lessons to struggling classmates. Ethan, 13, had created a blog to share inspiring stories from the community. "You make Daddy proud every day," Jennifer told her children that night. "And you, Mom, are you proud of us?" "More than you can imagine." One Saturday morning, Jennifer was organizing books in the library when a girl about 8 years old timidly approached. "Auntie, can I ask a question?" "Of course, my dear. Is it true that you found this ship all by yourself?" "Yes, it's true." "And you had nothing when you found it?" "I only had my children and a strong will not to give up. My mom says when she grows up she wants to be like you." "Your mom can be better than me, you know. Every person has their own strength." "How do I find out what my strength is?" Jennifer knelt down to be at the girl's level. "Your strength is in the things you do even when you're scared, in the times you help someone without expecting anything in return, in the dreams you don't give up even when it seems impossible. I want to help children who don't have homes. Then you've already found your strength." That conversation made Jennifer reflect on the legacy she was building. It wasn't just the center or the social projects. It was a generation of children growing up believing they could change the world. Helen, now 80 years old, continued to be a valuable advisor. During one of her monthly visits to the center, she made a profound observation. "Jennifer, do you know what your greatest victory was in this whole story?" "What?" "It wasn't recovering the ship or defeating Richard or facing the mayor. It was not letting the pain make you bitter." "What do you mean?" "You had every reason to be angry with life. You lost your husband, were left in poverty, were deceived, persecuted. But you chose to turn suffering into compassion. That's rare. I had no choice. I had 6 children depending on me." "Yes, you did. You could have chosen the easy way. Accept money from Richard, sell the ship, move far away. But you chose to fight for what was right. And was it worth it? Look around and tell me." Jennifer looked. It was mid-afternoon on Saturday. The center was full of life. In the music workshop, teenagers were rehearsing for a festival. In the kitchen, women were preparing hot meals for needy families. In the garden, children were learning about sustainability. In the library, young people were studying for college entrance exams. "It was very much worth it," she said, smiling. At 45, Jennifer had become a respected figure throughout the region. She received invitations to give lectures, participated in city councils, was consulted about public policies. But she continued to live in the same simple house, waking up early to open the center, talking to every child who arrived scared on their first day. "Why don't you move to a bigger house?" a journalist asked during an interview. "What for?" "My house has everything I need. Love, memories, and it's close to my work. And the invitations to work in other cities. This is my place. Here are my children's roots. Here is my husband's dream. I won't abandon that for money." "Many people see you as a hero." "I'm not a hero. I'm just a mother who didn't give up." One special afternoon, 15 years after the discovery of the ship, the center received an unexpected visitor. An elegant man about 50 years old asked to speak with Jennifer. "Ms. Miller, my name is Robert Wilson. I'm the former judge who presided over your hearing against Richard Thompson." "Of course. How are you, Judge?" "Well, thank you. I came here because I need to tell you something." "What is it?" That hearing changed my perspective on justice. Seeing a simple person fighting for their rights without being intimidated deeply marked me. I'm glad to hear that. Because of that, when I retired, I decided to dedicate myself to social causes. I created a foundation that helps projects like yours. What a beautiful coincidence. It's not a coincidence, it's a consequence. Your actions inspired other people, who inspired others, who inspired others. That's how good multiplies. Robert had brought a proposal. His foundation wanted to help expand the Robert Miller Community Center model to other coastal cities. We have resources to adapt 3 ships stranded along the California coast. We want to create a network of maritime community centers. And what would I do? You would be the general coordinator of the project. You would travel to each location, help organize the communities, share your experience. Jennifer thought about the proposal. It was a chance to multiply Robert's dream across the whole country. I accept, but on one condition. What? The center of Santa Monica remains my priority. This is where it all began. Obviously, this will always be the pilot center. 2 years later, the Robert Miller Network had opened centers in Malibu, Southern California, Key West, Florida, and Newport Beach, Southern California. Each adapted to the local reality, but maintaining the same principles: community management, focus on education and social development. Matthew, with a degree in music, had become the cultural coordinator of the network. Olivia, studying education, worked with early childhood education. Emma, in high school, already talked about studying social work. Ethan, always creative, documented everything on the blog that had grown and become the project's official website. "Mom," said Matthew at a family meeting, "Dad left more than a ship. He left a movement." "What do you mean?" "Think about it. How many people have been directly helped by the centers? Over 5,000. And how many have been indirectly inspired? Impossible to count." Olivia completed her brother's thought. "And every person who has been here takes a bit of this philosophy wherever they go. They teach their children, inspire friends, multiply the good." "Dad wanted to help our community," said Emma. "He ended up helping the whole country." Ethan, always pragmatic, made an interesting observation. "The coolest part is that it didn't need politics or government. It was just good people coming together to do good things." Jennifer smiled, remembering Father Patrick's words about a spark lighting the fire. "Do you know the secret?" she said to her children. "What?" "We never did anything expecting recognition. We did it because it was right, because someone needed it, because we could help." "And is that why it worked?" asked Olivia. "That's why it worked." One Sunday morning, 20 years after stumbling upon the ship, Jennifer woke up with a strange feeling. It was as if Robert were there in the room smiling at her. She got up and went to the center's deck. The sun was rising on the horizon, painting the sea golden. She did her morning practice of talking to her husband. "Look where we've come, my love. 4 centers running, thousands of people impacted, our children grown and following their own dreams. The wind brought the smell of fresh bread from the community bakery that operated in the center. You know what makes me proudest? The children I met, scared, and who are now adults, transforming other lives. Little Johnny of Ms. Mary became a doctor and comes back here every week to provide free care. Little Annie of Mr. Joseph is a teacher and started a school in the countryside. Matthew of Mr. Mark is an engineer and builds affordable housing. A seagull landed on the deck beside her as if listening. You knew it would all work out, didn't you? That's why you left that letter. It wasn't just about the ship. It was about believing that we can be greater than our circumstances. That afternoon, Jennifer received the news that the Robert Miller Network had been nominated for an International Social Development Award. The ceremony would be in Washington, D.C., with the presence of the President of the United States. "We're all going together," she told her children. "Are you sure, Mom? It's a lot of people," said Matthew. "Of course I am. This award isn't mine, it's ours. It's the communities, the families, everyone who believed." At the ceremony, Jennifer took the stage wearing the same navy blue dress she had worn at the hearing against Richard 20 years earlier. "This award represents more than recognition," she said in her speech. "It represents proof that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when driven by love. My husband Robert Miller never imagined that his idea to help our small community would go this far. He just wanted to do what was within his reach. And we discovered that when we do what's within our reach with true love, that reach extends far beyond what we imagine. This award goes to my community in Santa Monica, who believed when no one else did. It goes to my children, who grew up understanding there's a greater purpose in life. And it goes especially to all the families who once found themselves lost and discovered there's always hope." The audience rose in a 5-minute standing ovation. After the ceremony, a journalist asked the question Jennifer had been expecting. "Miss Jennifer, what was the most difficult moment in this entire journey?" "It wasn't when I discovered I was being robbed, nor when I almost lost my children. nor when I was persecuted by the mayor. What was it then? It was that morning on the beach when I stumbled upon the ship. I was completely desperate, without any perspective. It was the moment I needed the most faith to take the next step. And what made you continue? My children. They needed to see that their mother wouldn't give up, that there's always a way to move forward. And if you could go back in time, I wouldn't change a thing. Every difficulty taught us something important. Every obstacle made us stronger. Every tear prepared us for the next stage. Back in Santa Monica, the entire town organized a party to welcome the local heroes. The ship was decorated with colorful flags and flowers. Hundreds of people sang "Happy Birthday" when Jennifer got off the bus. "Speech! Speech!" the crowd shouted. Jennifer climbed onto a small makeshift platform on the ship's deck. "Friends, this award is ours, from each one who believed, who helped, who didn't let us give up." But I want to say something important. The real prize isn't in Washington, D.C. It's here. It's in seeing our children growing up with values, our youth discovering purposes, our elderly feeling useful and loved. The real prize is knowing that when our children tell this story to their grandchildren, they'll say, "This is how our family learned that there's always hope." The crowd erupted in applause and tears. That night, Jennifer had dinner at home with her 4 children, Father Patrick, now 85 years old, Helen, 88 years old, and some special people who had been crucial in the journey. "Let's make a toast," said Matthew, raising his glass of juice. "To Robert Miller, who planted the seed," said Olivia. "To Jennifer Miller, who watered it with love," added Emma. "And to all of us who helped cultivate it," finished Ethan. "And to the future," Jennifer added, "because this story is just beginning." They toasted as the sun set on the horizon, painting the sky orange and pink, just like that first afternoon when Jennifer had stumbled upon the wreckage of a ship and discovered that sometimes the greatest treasures come disguised as problems. 25 years later, Jennifer Miller, now a grandmother of 8 grandchildren, still lives in the same simple house in Santa Monica. The Robert Miller Community Center became a national historic landmark. The Robert Miller Network operates in 15 American states and has inspired similar projects in other countries. But for her, the greatest pride remains the same. Having shown her children that it's worth fighting for what's right, that there's beauty in serving others, and that life's best treasures aren't material. On a Saturday afternoon, while watching her grandchildren play on the same deck where her children grew up, Jennifer smiles, remembering that day on the beach when everything seemed lost. "Thank you, my love," she whispers to the wind, looking at Robert's portrait on the wall. "Thank you for believing it was worth dreaming." End of story. Now tell us, what did you think of this story of overcoming? Do you believe an ordinary person can make a difference in the lives of many others? Leave your honest comment about Jennifer and her children's journey. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other moving stories like this one. Thank you very much for your company.